Grotesque animals that have silenced science. Science creatures that defy any logic or human reason, and an amazing story that will make you believe that monsters exist. You're about to meet the horror behind these mysterious creatures caught on camera and seen in real life. Number 10. Danger in the dark. The first creature on our list takes us to a place where nothing new ever happens. A highway in some lost American town in the middle of the night. Perhaps the movies have given them a bad reputation, but the reality is different. The roads hide disturbing mysteries that are sometimes filmed by one of their many victims. Such is the case of this driver, who was advancing in the middle of a moonless night. The headlights of his car were trying to illuminate the road and barely made it. The light opened up the path and allowed him to see the dirt road as well as the undergrowth and perhaps something darker. Just on the horizon, where the light barely managed to illuminate the path, a chilling event occurred. A silhouette emerged from the darkness. Its body was similar to a shadow, but it was real, too real. It walked upright, although it was clearly not a human being. The video is brief, perhaps too brief, and doesn't allow us to draw any conclusions. Still, the footage itself remains one of those sightings that no one would want to experience, much less on an American highway in the middle of the night. Number 9. Unclassifiable. Every once in a while, city cameras manage to film creepy things. The following creature belongs to the archive of the unclassifiable, something that cannot be fully explained and belongs to the realm of the unknown. It happened in a Japanese province. There, an active camera was recording one of the main road arteries in the area when something interesting burst into the camera's frame. The image is fleeting. If you blink, it's over. However, by watching it in slow motion, we can identify that this disturbing shadow contains more information than we imagined. The advancing creature resembles a dog, but it isn't a dog at all. Its body is deformed and gray. Its hind legs are elongated, while the front legs appear somewhat shorter. In addition, it moves with an agility that any animal would envy, and its gait has never been seen in any dog. Unfortunately, there isn't enough information to understand what we're seeing. The video only managed to capture a brief scene from a long day of filming and leaves us with an infinite trunk of questions that we won't be able to answer. Number 8. Marine abomination. You're not prepared for what these fishermen caught in a river near New Delhi, India. Still, you need to see it to understand the dangers of the ocean and how incredible it can be. According to the fisherman's story, they went out early that morning in their boat and cast their nets, hoping to catch some nice fish. When they felt something had bitten them, it took all their strength to pull it out of the water. It must have been huge, they thought, a real marine plunder, but it turned out to be something creepy. The creature that emerged from the sea had the face of a fish, but that was the only thing it had of this species. Its body was semi-human with pink skin and a prominent belly. In addition, there was a huge fin where the legs might have been, which complemented the image of this ocean monster. They had caught a mermaid, or perhaps a triton, and when they saw it in all its magnitude, none of them could believe it. The video was immediately all over the networks and shocked everyone who watched it. This creature from the depths of the ocean seemed to fit all the ancient descriptions of sailors. Of course, it's hard to believe. Most people are convinced that there must be a trick involved or something to explain such an abomination. But if such a thing exists, it hasn't yet been published anywhere. Number 7. An extreme ride. Riding a bicycle through the surrounding areas of your neighborhood shouldn't pose any risk, should it? Well, this is what this cyclist thought until something creepy crossed his path. As he was pedaling hard and leaving the bushes, bridges, and houses behind, something burst into his path. Maybe at first glance, it goes unnoticed, but seeing it twice will be enough to understand it immediately. From the heights, a strange animal with certain ape-like characteristics tries to assault him, but its miscalculations make it crash to the ground. That small fragment of time allows us to fully contemplate the nature of this creature. Although it looks like an ape, it is much larger in size, its color is dingy gray, and it certainly resembles nothing that has been seen in nature before. Number 6. Invader discovered. Those who have been born in the countryside are well aware of the dangers to their farm animals. Out there are numerous predators waiting for the right moment to strike, but this man seems to have finally caught the one responsible for the disappearances of his chickens, although his find will surprise you. The creature you have on screen appeared in this farmer's backyard, and just like you, he too was horrified to see it. His eyes couldn't believe what they were seeing. The animal, to call it something, seemed to show a certain regret in its actions as well as having great terror painted on its face. However, this isn't the creepiest thing about the video. The creature resembles a monkey whose skin had been flipped over. Its dark and hairless body is disturbing, but not as much as its rickety skull, with eyes as deep as abysses and features that resemble those of a human being, but taken from the very underworld. Since these images were published, no one has been able to decipher what's hidden behind this video. Social networks are impressed and waiting for someone to explain what kind of malevolent and perverse animal this is. Number 5. Out of this place. There isn't a single person who would decide to go out in the morning for a kayak ride and imagine that they would witness a creature that everyone would write off as impossible to exist in the middle of the afternoon. Kevin Johnson thought he was crazy when he approached the shores of the beach where his friends were waiting for him, and before touching land, he saw a silhouette that gave him one of the biggest scares of his life. The scene was recorded from a friend's drone and shows Kevin moving forward in his kayak when a sea monster is drawn into the depths. It's a large creature with a menacing silhouette that radiates danger. Some have even compared it to the Loch Ness Monster. If this were so, Nessie would be quite disoriented, for how else would he have reached these American waters? Other theories suggest that it could be an ancient dinosaur that has managed to survive in the depths of the ocean without us noticing its presence. Both possibilities sound equally far-fetched, but neither can be completely ruled out. What this drone managed to capture shows us that the danger was real and that this beast of the sea exists, even if we still can't explain what it is or how it got there. Number 4. A cruel joke. Asians take their sense of humor very seriously. Their jokes can be cruel and extremely disproportionate. Maybe this video will help you understand it. The recording shows a group of vehicles that are surprised by a violent landslide. An instant later, something unreal happens. A giant dragon emerges from the shelter of the mountain. First, we contemplate the skull and the jaw. The beast is colossal, and its jaws open with a perfect capacity to devour an airplane. Then the dragon advances, showing us the rest of its serpentine body and causing most of the civilians to faint. Turns out, a television program planned these amazing images. It took a lot of effort and numerous screens to make it happen, but at the end of the day, the prank was broadcast on national channels, causing great fits of laughter and a scare that almost cost the lives of the participants. Number 3. A glimpse of horror. The following video will test your ability to respond. The footage belongs to an anonymous user who believes he has encountered a mysterious creature lurking in the bushes in his neighborhood. Upon inspecting the footage, we can see the intriguing shape of an anomalous entity, a kind of creature that can hardly be defined with words. But we would like you to try to explain it in the comments. So sharpen your senses and tell us what you see in this video. Number 2. A very peculiar fish. Have you ever seen a fish that loves metal so much that it will stick to it forever? Chances are you haven't. And these fishermen hadn't had such an experience either until one April morning when their nets brought them this amazing creature. Right off the bat, this deformed fish has a color that has rarely been seen. Its belly looks like porcelain, and the intense bluish color of its body gives it a certain resemblance to a glassfish. But make no mistake, it's as hard as iron and enjoys an even more striking peculiarity. When brought close to metal, it sticks to it like a magnet. Its body reacts instantly and can stay there completely stuck to the surface. Understanding what lies behind the nature of this fish has become a virtually impossible task, especially since the creature was returned to the ocean. Unfortunately, it hasn't been accessible for analysis, and the fishermen responsible for such an act claim that the deformed animal could infect the rest of their fish if they kept it with them. Number 1. Reptile or centipede? You have reached one of the most enigmatic and intriguing videos on the list. It's a recording obtained from the Philippines, and as you watch it, you must ask yourself this question: is it a snake or a centipede? This slithery creature moves on the ground in a peculiar way. Its silhouette seems to draw the unmistakable shape of a huge snake. But as we approach it carefully, we discover that its skin moves with small black legs. It isn't an optical effect nor an illusion. It's a creature with a body so flaccid that it looks like water. But, in spite of this, its legs move with synchrony, giving it a very different appearance from reptiles. So back to the initial question, is this a snake or a centipede? On social media, there doesn't seem to be a clear decision, although most are convinced that this was the creepiest centipede on record in a long time. Still, you have the last word. 0-0. Technology seems to be making work easier for many people, especially those who battle the deep sea to do their jobs. This has allowed for great advances, but it has also brought us closer to the creepiest creatures of the ocean, both those that wash up on the shores of the beach and those found in the depths of the ocean. This video, shared on social media by a group of engineers who were on a research mission aboard a submarine, has caused quite a stir, as it indirectly shows evidence of a shadowy creature. The goal was to lure a shark through a bait and then install a small camera and tracker to follow its movements. But what they never imagined is that this appetizing bait would attract something much more macabre. The fixed camera managed to film the silhouette of a shark that could be considered an heir to the megalodon. Its size was colossal, as were its jaw and teeth. There's no doubt that the image was unaltered. The team of more than a dozen engineers and researchers vouched for it. So this disturbing evidence brings us a little closer to our worst fears. Everything seems to indicate that as we descend into the dark depths, the closer we are to discovering one of the monsters of the sea abyss. Logically, this has been demonstrated before. The creatures that emerge from the depths are extraordinary and terrifying. Their existence poses hundreds of enigmas, and if you'd like to know more about them, then join us in the following videos and get ready to dive into the unknown.